Shalom, Kol Halim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who rule and teach well. And a sincere shalom to the 144,001 third. Bear with me for a moment. As you can see by the title of this lesson, okay, things aren't going to stay the same. Times change. The Most High Yahweh has set up this society, humanity, in a certain way that leads to the advancement of technology, right? You know, back during Moses era, what did they have? What was it, Bronze Age? They used bronze swords and spears, and then as time went on, they had what, iron and so on and so forth. And now we're in an age where they'll have, you know, steel and titanium based weapons with nuclear capabilities inside of them to cause unfathomable amount of destruction. All right, that's all thanks to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai advancing technology. And this advancement of technology has led to more wickedness, okay? Not only more wickedness, but on top of that, you have the extent of Yahweh's indignation is going to increase too. You know, there's going to be a great, massive, insane die-off coming to this society, coming into this world, this eon period. Yahweh is going to kill off billions of people through starvation, war, and disease. That's going to be the three main ways people are going to die. All right. Now I'm going to dive into the scriptures real quick. I'm just going to put on some a little bit of background music. That's why I haven't went straight to the scriptures just yet. So bear with me. If I can't find it, what I'm looking for in the next minute or two, I'll just forget about it. Okay, here it goes. Perfect. So let's dive into Second Esdras, the 15th Salakias. Second Esdras, the 5th chapter, from the top, verse 1. Nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the day shall come, that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. So, what this is going into is that specifically Ezra saw what the end times, if you will. Ezra saw this age, this era, okay? And the people he saw being taken in a great number are Israelites and heathens, right? The three parts of men, the sons of the righteous, sons of God, sons of the wicked, and the sons of men, which are the Edomites, the Israelites, and the rest of the heathen nations. And Esdras saw billions of people, billions of these three people, classifications of men, being killed off. Okay, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and that's going into the prophets of the Most High Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Apostle Tahar on down. It's going to be a famine of the word. Okay, let me get that. What is that? This is Amos, the 8th chapter, in verse 11. Behold, the days come, said Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread nor thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh's soul. And that's mainly going to be through the internet, because that's how the truth is being primarily pushed, is through the internet webs. Now, how is this going to happen? Is it going to be Esau censorship? I mean, it could be, right? But it also could be the internet cables being destroyed, because the internet moves through these deep sea cables. You know, you know, you could have very volatile, very chaotic people dive into the ocean and just start destroying those cables, taking out the internet for months. You know, that could cause the famine of the word. Or it could just be Esau saying, the internet's been hacked or whatever, or Esau doing the censorship. It could be all three, right? Expect all three, expect the unexpected. And the land shall be barren of faith. So guess what? The faith goes for anything, right? It could be the truth, it could be dogma. People are going to lose hope because it's going to be mass die-off. It's going to be people dying of diseases, what is it called? When you bleed out of holes in your body, hemorrhagic type fevers, where you bleed out of, your genital holes, your eyes, your mouth. You're going to see people dying like that, people starving to death, people grouping up, becoming cannibals, just pure evil. People are going to lose hope when they see that, because that's not something that leads to prosperity and positivity. That's very dark, eerie, and negative. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or thou hast heard long ago. And the land that thou seest now to have root shall see wasted suddenly. Yeah, so Western Asia is going to get wiped. Not totally, our land is going to get nuked. It's going to be a lot of death in Western Asia, otherwise known as the Middle East. Babylon the Great is going to get completely wiped. All right, evil is just going to keep getting worse, getting increasing. Okay. This is verse 12. At the same time shall men hope, but nothing obtain. They shall labor, but their way shall not prosper. So people are going to try to work their way out of these situations, but it's not going to happen, because the Most High Yahweh wants them to be put to death. The only people that truly have a secured spot to make it out of Jacob's trouble is the elect and the elites of the world, the international bankers and these secret illuminated ones, all right, that's running things. They're gonna make it out, because they're gonna go on straight into captivity. They're gonna be the first slaves in the kingdom of heaven. That's the only reason why Yahweh's gonna make sure that they survive the collapse of civilization, if you will. Now let's go to 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter. 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter. And verse 11. And they have loathed my law. Who is this? The Israelites. When they had yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open to them, Yahushai understood not but despised it. The same must know it after death by pain. So all the Israelites that rejected Yahushai, which is rejecting the gospel, you're gonna learn that you messed up through death. Verse 15, I have said before and now do speak and will speak it also hereafter, that there be many more of them which perish than of them which shall be saved. Like as a wave is greater than a drop. So just going off that, that means what, 90+% of people are gonna die. It's gonna be a mass die off. They say it's what, 8 billion people, and there was a recent study that it's potentially more than 8 billion people in the world, because when they did the global census or whatever, which, doing a census is wicked. King David was possessed by Satan to do a census, and he had to pay the consequences for that. The Most High Yahweh, we're not allowed to count Israelites specifically, because we aren't our own people. We're the people of Yahweh. All right, so a census is going off. Okay, but nonetheless, they say it's about 8 billion people on the earth. And they said actually it's probably more, because they didn't account for people that live in very rural areas in China and India and whatnot. So let's say it's 8 billion people, right? 7.5 billion people gonna get put to death. 7 billion people gonna get put to death. It's gonna be mass die off. Okay. Let's get this right here. Dung. So dung is basically poop. Okay, just so you know that it's feces. All right, this is Second Ezra 16 and 23, verse 22. Actually, no, verse 19. Second Ezra 16 and 19. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Famine, what is famine? Starvation. And plague, what is plague? A disease. Tribulation, what is tribulation? Going through hard times. And anguish. Let me look up the definition for anguish, because it slips my mind what that means. Anguish, severe mental or physical pain. All right, so people are going to be mentally messed up. They're going to be physically messed up. Are sent as scourges for amendment. Yeah, look what you did to the earth. Look what you did to the children of Israel. Look what the children of Israel did to Yahushua. Okay, so they're gonna have to suffer their consequences. You reap what you sow. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness. So guess what? They're gonna get messed up. All right, these non-elect out here. Okay, these 2/3, these other Israelites are not in Babylon the Great. Okay, these heathen pretty much everywhere. They're gonna go through all this evil, and they're not gonna try to own up to their mistakes, if you will. Nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals, which is food, shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, right? Famine, and great confusion. So sword is just a killing instrument, famine is a starvation, and great confusion means what? You got the misinformation through AI and people just spreading fake information because Esau wants to sow chaos. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So guess what? The majority of people are just gonna starve to death. These TV shows and these movies and stuff. They try to Hollywood Esau with his Hollywood. Hollywood goes back to the holly tree, and the wood of the holly tree was used to make wands for witchcraft. All right. So Esau, and by the way, the Hollywood, if you go into the history of Hollywood, it was created. Okay, Hollywood was created by the small hats because they weren't allowed in New York City with Broadway. Okay, so guess what? When you look at Hollywood, which is by far the number one media platform in human history, okay, and people don't know this, but they subtly, it's subtle, but people expose it subtly, all right, if I'm pronouncing that word right, that these influencers and these podcasters and whatnot, they're just basically actors. Like I know Mr. Beast and that that look he looks like a Jake Marquise Browy or whatever, so-called black guy that's real popular with technology, really big technology page on YouTube. He him and Mr. Beast are both signed basically to Disney. They're Disney kids. They're basically like Zack and Cody and Wizards of Waverly Place. They're just on YouTube now. Hollywood. Okay? So guess what? When Esau with his information, all right, that leads to what? Confusion. All right? But guess what? This famine is going to cause mass starvation. People are going to starve to death. And that's what Hollywood kind of leaves out. Hollywood makes it, super action packed like Mad Max and stuff like that. I mean, will you see regular people have Mad Max level capabilities in Jacob's Trouble? Sure, fine, okay. Is that going to be a normal thing or a daily? No, man. It's going to be more like The Road. Go watch The Road. The Road. That's how it's going to be. It's going to be bleak, dark. People just starving to death. If you come across a person, you're probably going to try to eat them and take their stuff. Okay, that's really how it's going to be. There's going to be people starving to death. All right, and let's reread that again. Where were we? 2nd Ezra 16 in verse 22. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. So it's going to be mass starvation. Babylonians, Americans, right? Starvation. Canada, starvation. Europe, starvation. India, China, the whole world, people are going to starve. The Most High Yahweh is going to do something vicious to make sure all the mass food, the mass food production gets cut to a halt. And the other that escape the hunger. So how are these people going to escape the hunger? They're going to go to the rural areas and grow pumpkins and wheat and oats and rice and eat people, preppers that stock up all this food. That's how they're going to start. That's how they're going to eat. You're not going to be in New York City and Shanghai and in Tokyo and escape this hunger. I mean, unless you're eating people, right? And the other that escaped the hunger shall the sword destroy. So guess what? That's the marauders. All right, that's your Mad Max type people. That's the people that got a sword, a literal katana, a long sword, bastard sword, or otherwise known as a hand and a half sword, a halberd, a Glock 43, AK-47, the infamous AR-15. Right? They're gonna have these swords, a Bowie knife, whatever you can think of, a drone with a bomb on it. Okay, a drone with a drone with a flamethrower. They're gonna use these weapons to go around killing people for fun. For you may be on their territory and they don't want to take any chances, so they put you to death. All right, people, it's gonna get real ugly. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. So guess what? The cities of the world are going to be destroyed. All right, it's going to be apocalyptic looking. All right, Jacob's trouble is going to last quite a while. Okay, you're going to have these dead bodies are just going to pile up everywhere because nobody's going to. Why would anybody try to? Why would anybody try to bury him? Like that's a waste of their time. And those bodies that are going to be casted out and not eaten is probably because they got diseases or the flesh is already rotten, so they're not worth eating. That's how evil it's going to be out here. All right. For him, like everyone, a sprain, tear, let's get this in. Until your expert orthopedic team at Houston Methodist uses Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even a time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. All right? Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even a time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So the elect is going to get saved out of this, man. The elect is going to get saved out of this total destruction, this total full wrath, the full indignation of Yahweh. All right. Therefore, verse 8, for it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. So guess what? When all this starts popping off, the elect, all right, the Israelites, the elect of the Israelites, are going to be freed from this devil system, all right? Because at that moment, when things start popping off, this devil system is going to turn into the MOTB. If you don't have the MOTB, you don't have Esau's yoke anymore, essentially, right? Because he's pushing towards that. Okay, so I'm gonna end that off right there. Ottawan Ratazav's edifying Shalom.